GenePaulAcepeter here, and I'm doing a contest submission for DrVonChilla. It's 1 year on YouTube, so congratulations for that, John, and thank you for all the content that you've made so far. Those of you who don't know and are watching this right now and are not subscribed to DrVonChilla, I highly recommend that you do, and you go check out his channel and his content. He's very knowledgeable on comics, has a huge amount of experience, and just an all-around really great guy. He wanted to know a couple of things, just basically like what's your passion for comics, and he's calling it 5 for 5 as well. So you have to show off a couple of 5 books if you had to save, or your favorite 5, or what have you. Well, for me, growing up, comics were super important. It was something that I shared with my dad. I've got a twin brother, and he wasn't into it, but it was something that was mine. It was something that I embraced. I know that who I am today is because of comics, not just because I'm an artist or everything. My wife is an artist, so we've made a comic together, and just my whole life has always been about comics, and I've always been influenced by comics in everything that I do. I remember getting my first comic when I was probably about 3 or 4 years old, and I think I've talked about it in a bunch of my videos, but you know, I remember getting that Justice League of America 200 and reading it front to back. That book essentially taught me how to draw. I mean, how could it not? You know, George Perez, GENEPAULACEPETER. I mean, there's so much good work in there. There's a ton of reasons why comic books are important to me, but mainly because, you know, in all honesty, comic books are the one thing that genuinely won't let you down. They're going to be there for you, and they're trying their best to make your life enjoyable. You know, sometimes it could be debatable. Big fan of Kirby's work. Big fan of Joe Kubert. Bernie Wrightson, he's one of my favorite artists, and I've always, as you notice, I've always been drawn towards the artwork more than the storylines. You know, some books in my collection that I wouldn't let go for the world. And he requests that we pick out 5 and show them off. And so this one here, for example, House of Mystery 143. This is the first time John Jones is in House of Mystery. But this book in particular, I remember seeing this in a North Street Price guide I got for Christmas one year. And I remember looking and seeing that was 12 cents. I couldn't believe it. I was like, so old, and this is crazy. I just fantasized about owning it. And as you get an adult, you realize that a lot of these are actually obtainable. You know, when you're 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. I mean, this stuff's kind of out of your realm. This was one that was always just, I close my eyes and I still see it today, going through that Overstreet Price guide and seeing the full color gloss of this in the pages. So I was really glad when I got this one, and this is one I couldn't live without. I couldn't live without, because it really brings back a lot of my childhood of fantasizing over comic books, and just, you know, this and Submariner #1, but this one in particular really just stood out for me, and it really represented comics and what I enjoy, especially DC. I'm a Marvel guy, so. Another one that I couldn't live without, it was a gift just recently from my buddy Undisputed Frost and Joe Comic Fan, and that's Strange Tales 89, first appearance of Fin Fang Foom. This has been on my grail list forever, and when I finally got it, I just couldn't believe it, and I don't even know how to move forward after getting this when it comes to collecting. And I've decided to actually take a step back and start working on my back issue run now, because I think when you get a major grail like this, it kind of, you know, it's just a sense of accomplishment and all this stuff. But I am so glad to have this, and I cannot imagine living without this now. This will be going with me. This will be buried with me. Another grail of mine that recently got from my buddy GDJ Rod, and again another DC, but you know, I am a Marvel guy, as I've said before, but this is Fox and Crow 95, and a lot of people aren't aware of the character Stan Lee and his monster, but I love him. I think he's really great, and it really sums up the fun side of collecting and comics for me, as I don't have much of a modern pull list, and what I do pull is you know, like bongo comics like Simpsons, Rick and Morty, Bob's Burgers. I really like the funny books, and this is a great character, really great. And this is another book I know for sure I couldn't live without. and yet another act of kindness from someone, and that's Brian Emsky. He sent me this a couple years back, Night Nurse #1. He knew how much that I loved it, and he made sure that it got to me. And he sent it to me around Christmas time, and I remember just being floored. And I mean, Christmas was made when I got this, but it's the anniversary issues kind of thing with the box. Yeah, I love Night Nurse. It really complements a lot of the issues that are my favorites, and this 20-cent ones. Yeah, not an overly great story, beautiful art, beautiful. I just love it, but I could not live without this book. And the last one is probably one of my favorite books in my collection, and that's Hero for Hire #1, first appearance of Luke Cage. Luke Cage is a character for me when I was early collecting. I got my hands on some Power Man and Iron Fist, and I was really drawn towards this character. To me, even early on, I was like, well, I just knew that this character was keeping it real, and I liked that aspect of it. It was believable, and when I got this, and I'd read this in the same way that I would read Howard the Duck, that it felt like something that I was too young to have my hands on, if that makes sense. It had this older person appeal to it, like, you know, watching a rated R film or something, even though, you know, read it today, it doesn't hold that kind of feeling for me. But at the time it did. It felt very much like this was something I shouldn't have, and which made me want it even more. And when I picked this up, which you can see in one of my videos a couple years back, you can see that I was really excited to get this that day, and I'm still excited. And I break this out on my birthday, since I've got it, and I read it on my birthday. So congratulations, John. Here's to another year and another year and another year, and just keep making your content. Whether I win or lose the contest, or whether whoever wins or loses, I mean, I think we've all won when we check out your videos, and so for that, just for that alone, thank you. So the GenePaulAcePeter, signing out.